Welcome to Winning the Game of Life. I'm your host, Shawn Chhabra. I'm very excited today because I have already interviewed 24 people. My 25th guest is one of the best I had been wishing for, and his name is AMYX. Is that how you say your name?
It is, yes.
Okay, so I'm really happy that AJ could save some time for me. He gave me only 30 minutes. So let's see how much knowledge we can suck out of his brain. Welcome to the show, AJ.
Dude, thanks, brother Shawn. It's been great. It's great to be here. I really appreciate the invite, brother.
My God, you travel so much. How can you even be away from your work? Tell us a little bit about you, what you do.
Sure. So, lots of people know me as the Twitter Rockstar. And so pretty much my main goal is helping entrepreneurs and experts figure out how to learn and implement social media marketing strategies that actually get them results. And so I have a course called Tweet Like a Rockstar. I created a guide called The 7 Deadly Twitter Mistakes that hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people have downloaded, they've used, or getting results right now, actually. And so that's kind of the main focus. And then of course, always traveling and seeing the world as well.
Actually, that's how I found you. I found you on Twitter, and I've been chasing you, and you was traveling. So that's why I wanted to point that.
Yeah, we were going back and forth. In fact, you're talking to my right-hand rock star, Robin. And, I remember you reached out to Twitter, and I was like, oh, this would be great. And then I connected you with Robin, and Robin helped coordinate this. So it's fantastic that we could be here.
Thanks to Robin. Okay, so how about, like, I did not try to research too much about you or your background, so that, like, most of the content you are going to share with us is so fresh as is fresh to my readers and viewers and listeners. So how about you start from a little bit from your background, so that we all know where you came from and what you are and how you became what you are today.
Sure. So we'll kind of go the fast version since we only have 30 minutes. So pretty much I grew up in a really tiny farm town called Seven Points, Texas. Really small. There was like 700 and something people in that little town, but it was around a lake called Cedar Creek Lake. And so the combined community was around 10 or 20,000 people, still very small. And so a lot of people there, they either are construction workers, they go work in the oil fields, they're teachers, they leave, or they're construction workers. There's really not that much going on in that community. And so I always had really big dreams. And if you fast forward into like high school, I started playing music, and a friend of mine, we started this band. And then when we went to university, we continued playing music and writing songs. And I got really interested into the whole music business side of things. And if we fast forward all the way up to 2009, we had co-founded a band called Trade Cities, and we were doing these tours all around the United States. We were being paid. We had a 38-foot tour bus. We had radio play. We had offers from record labels. And then that all came crashing down in October of 2009. And I had a decision to make. I said, well, do I want to put together a new band and continue doing this? Or do I want to follow something a little bit differently? So I chose to really pursue my passion, which was marketing and business. And so right at that time, I picked up a book called The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. And Tim was talking about this concept of lifestyle design, pretty much where we could work from anywhere in the world as long as we had a Wi-Fi connection and a computer. And I thought to myself, well, if Tim can figure this thing out, I bet I can too. And so it's been a continual leveling up process and just taking massive action to ultimately get me to where I'm at today, where I'm on the cutting edge of social media and what's working on Twitter, and teaching other entrepreneurs and experts how to actually use digital marketing to grow their business.
So you help only like online marketers or brick and mortar, like a conventional businesses also?
I can help brick and mortars. The thing with brick and mortars a lot of times is what I found. If they're small business owners, they don't want to spend a whole lot of money if they're in the local business. Like they want to spend $200 on a newspaper ad. They want to spend $500 a month on a newspaper ad. And that's about all the marketing they want to do besides just their local networking, going to networking events, shaking hands, kissing babies, and ultimately picking up referral business. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that at all. In fact, I tell a lot of online entrepreneurs, if they're just getting started, the fastest path to cash is to go offline, like go to the networking event, shake the hands, build friendships, find the referral partners, serve people, and you're going to start picking up clients really, really, really fast. But for those brick and mortar businesses who do have the advertising budget, in fact, I'm speaking with a couple of them later this week, and they're willing to spend $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 a month in paid advertising, absolutely, I can help them outline a plan to ultimately start generating the leads and then converting those into sales.
That's good. That's good. Like, you are doing this for like last couple of years or 5-6 years, like especially the Twitter marketing you was talking earlier.
Yeah, I've been doing this about 6 years now. So started in 2009, and then I got into using Twitter very strategically in 2013. So almost 3 years now of learning exactly how to use Twitter. And that's ultimately what I started creating the 7 deadly Twitter mistakes. And I'm happy to get into these tips and tools on how to use Twitter to build the audience and monetize the audience. But it came, that whole Twitter experience came from in 2013, I myself didn't have the advertising budget to spend money on, right? And I was picking up clients that had a successful business just from local networking and things of that nature, but I didn't have like $1,000 a month I could set aside to spend on Facebook ads. And so I had to get really creative, and I said, well, what can I do with the tools that I have at my disposal right now to reach my audience now? And in asking that question, I heard Twitter, and I was like, oh, okay, well, how can I use Twitter to reach my audience now? And ultimately, that's what led me to start playing what I call the follow game and tweaking profiles, which, like I said, I'm happy to get into during our conversation today. But I started building a raving fan base of now over 21,000 people. I mean, that's how you and I connected on Twitter. And ultimately, I'm generating leads. They're opting into my email list every single day from Twitter and setting up sales conversations as well.
Okay, on our webpage and videos and everywhere, we will put all your links. Like there may be, most of my listeners are entrepreneurs. I'm sure there are a lot of people like they will need your help, but let us talk for a minute. The before they pay you anything, or before they hire you for anything, or maybe some of the people can't even afford your services. So would you like to share some of the stuff we are talking here on the Twitter?
Yeah.
Like at least they will get some free education from today's chat we are having.
Absolutely. So there's 3 phases to having a proven Twitter marketing plan. And the first step is to create. The second step is to actually connect, right? And then the third step piece, we have connect? Converse. So we're going to create, we're going to connect, and then we're going to converse. And so what I mean by creating is setting your profile up for success. So there's 3 pieces of this. The first piece of this is having your profile picture be you. Like, don't use a logo, use a picture of you where people can actually see your eyes. And you want to be able to show up very present in that photo. And you don't need to go spend, thousands of dollars on a photo shoot. You guys can use your smartphone for this and, just have a good cropped 3/4 square shot, but make sure people can see your eyes. More importantly, you need to show up confident and you need to show up certain in that image, because people are going to create a bond, or they're going to be polarized away based upon how you're showing up in that image, because the energy never lies. Okay. So what I'm getting at with your profile picture is you need to show up confident and certain so people can see your eyes, because they're going to pick up on who you are as a person, and they're going to connect. Which leads us into the next piece, which is you need to write what I call a rockin' bio. So a lot of people make the mistake of just throwing random words into the bio, right? Or random hashtags, random leaks, like they have no clue what they need to do there. So what I tell people to do is write 3 to 4 words that describe you as a human being in life and in business. Because remember, people want to connect with real, raw, relevant human beings. Okay, so have 3 to 4 words that describe you as a human being in life and in business, and then have what I call a power statement, which is very simple. Just say, I help who, so I help X get Y, right? I help what audience get what result. Like, keep it ridiculously simple. Do not be sexy, do not be clever. Just tell them exactly, this is who I help, and this is how I help them. And then add your link to your website. Now, The way that you're going to actually start building your list from this is on your website. You need to have some type of what we call a lead magnet. We call this an opt-in offer. And for those that don't know what I'm talking about here, this just means you've created some piece of content, an ebook, this could be a PDF, this could be a video series, this could be a podcast episode, a series of podcast episodes, MP3s, etc. But what's happening is you're saying, hey, give me your name and give me your email, and in exchange for that data, I am going to send you this free gift. Now, in doing so, when you on your bio, when you have I help X get Y result, your lead magnet or your opt-in offer must be congruent with that power statement. Because understand, if they read that on Twitter and then they click the link, that's a click through to your website. So that's driving traffic from Twitter to your website, right? And that's what we all want. We want qualified traffic. But now we need to convert that traffic, and that's why it needs to be congruent. Because if it's not congruent, they're going to be like, oh, well, I clicked here to get what I thought I was getting, but I'm getting something different. So it's like this bait and switch. So then your bounce rate's going to increase. So you don't want to do that. Now, once you have your bio, once you have your profile picture, then you have your cover photo. Now you want to design this cover photo 1,000 pixels tall by 3,000 pixels wide. So 1,000 pixels tall by 3,000 pixels wide. And you want to be thinking about this. This is a virtual billboard where you're going to have thousands and thousands and tens of thousands and potentially hundreds of thousands, if you follow my strategies here today, of impressions, eyeballs looking at this virtual real estate. Now here in Dallas, we have people that pay thousands and thousands of dollars a month for billboards on the highways because they have traffic that's driving down. So just get into the mindset that this cover photo is no different. You can use this image to position yourself as that authority, as that rock star. You could package some type of advertisement for them to go to the website. You could use your media logos if you've been on different media, anything to help position you as the expert. So that's the creation piece. Now we're going to move into the second phase of this, which is to connect. Now in the connection piece, lots of people, they want to create tweets, and people always ask me, how many times should I tweet a day? I always tell people at least 9. And as people are sitting here creating these tweets, they're just waiting. They're like just kind of waiting for people to come to them rather than being very proactive. So I'm not one to sit around here and lay down and wait for people to come to me. I'm always like, how can I go to them? So I want you to create a list of the top 5 podcasters, the top 5 authors, the top 5 speakers, the top 5 associations, top 5 events, etc. that are in your industry, or it could be also that are your referral partners or potentially joint venture partners, because we could assume who's ever following these types of people on Twitter, right? If they're following them and these people have a similar message or a product or a service as you do, then more than likely those followers would like to connect with your brand. So what you can do is you can start going out and then following those people. And what happens is they're then notified because they're going to be like, oh, Shawn followed me. And they're like, well, who's Shawn? They're going to click to view your profile. And this is where that creation piece comes in. They're going to look at your photo. You show up powerfully and confident and certain in the photo. They're like, oh, this seems like a good guy that I want to connect with, or a good woman that I want to connect with. Then they're going to read the bio and they're like, oh, this person looks interesting, right? Because they read those 3 to 4 words. And then they're going to read that power statement, which is I help X get Y result. And they're going to be, oh, that's me, right? Because you're connecting with your target market. They're like, oh, I think they may be able to help me. Let me click and see what's going on. Boom. That's going to bring the click through to the site. And like I said, if that opt-in offer is congruent, that's how you're going to start building your list. So those are the first 2 steps. Now, let's get into the last step of this, which is conversations, which is converse, okay? So engagement is everything on Twitter. And people are going to hear me say this over and over and over and over again, which is relationships are everything, and so big time on Twitter. So in Facebook, right, the culture is a little bit different, right? If we didn't go to school together, we didn't go to university together, we didn't meet at an event, I haven't met you, and you send me a friend request, most people are like, who are you? Like, why did you send me a friend request? I don't know you, right? And then they just delete the friend request oftentimes, right? Now, Twitter is the exact opposite of that. It's this huge networking party, cocktail party. One of the analogies I always like talking about is like, let's pretend like it's a big bar, and you and your girlfriend or your wife or your date, you walk into the bar, you're at the bar, you order your drinks, and out of kind of your ear range behind you, you hear these people, and you see this group of people, and they're talking about Weimaraners. And you and your girlfriend happen to own a Weimaraner, and so as you grab your drinks, you walk over to the group of people, and you're like, hey guys, I overheard, is this ordering drinks, and I overheard you guys talking about Weimaraners. I happen to own one. Do you mind if my girlfriend and I join you guys to talk about Weimaraners? And they're going to be like, oh no, come on in. Sorry about that. They're going to be like, come on in. Like, let's talk, right? Because you were able to come into that conversation. So Twitter is the exact same way, right? The exact same way. So if you find conversations, just start asking people questions. Now, here's where a lot of people go wrong is when people follow them, they say, hey, thanks for the follow. And then the person responds and says, you're welcome. And the conversation's dead, right? That's not having great, amazing conversations. So I want you guys to get into the mindset of create amazing conversations. Now the question becomes, well, AJ, this sounds great, but how do we create amazing conversations? By asking amazing questions, right? So just start asking ridiculously direct questions, which is like, what are you looking to accomplish in the next 90 days? Or maybe if they're an author, you're like, hey, I noticed you're an author. How did your book launch go? Or, hey, I noticed you're an author. Are you working on a new book? Like, these are types of questions that we would talk and ask offline if we're meeting in person. So we just need to be able to bring those offline conversational skills into the game of digital and into the game of Twitter marketing. And now by doing this, you start learning and qualifying prospects to then ultimately point them to the next space, which maybe it's exchanging emails to take that conversation deeper. Maybe it's getting them on the phone. Maybe it's setting up a Skype. Maybe it's setting up a Zoom. Maybe it's setting up coffee like in person. Maybe it's like this go to Facebook. But ultimately you're taking them from Twitter, which is the connection piece, to then point them into that next stage of the relationship where if you have something that can help them, then you can offer that once you build that trust and respect. If you know a friend that could help them, well, then you could connect them, right? Ultimately, you're just there on Twitter to share your value with the world, solving problems by creating great epic content via tweets, right? But also to be able to solve people's problems, whether you're doing it or whether you're pointing them and connecting them to other people. So that's kind of like the fast and furious version of the 3 steps, and we knocked over my water bottle in the process. So, we're kind of rocking and rolling here.
I can see that excitement. You knock that, I knock my microphones here. Like that, like a delivery of that much content in that much time. I could see the excitement in your eyes,
Yeah.
But as you said, like once you found a right prospect, either that prospect is good for your services or maybe some of your friends or some of your other people. So one way or another, either you can help them directly once you find what they need, or you can connect them. So eventually you helped that person and that person. So both way you're helping the community and you're becoming a rock star.
Absolutely. And it always comes back to you, right? So many people buy into this mentality of scarcity where they're like, oh, I must help them because I ultimately want to make the sale, right? But the more that we can learn to come from this place of abundance and say, well, this is not what I do. I could do it, but this isn't my zone of genius. So let me connect somebody with someone who else is. So if somebody came to me for sales training, could I teach them sales training? I could, right? Because I do sales in my own company, but sales training is not my genius. I would say, hey, let me connect you with Ryan Stewman, the hardcore closer. That guy, like, he has sales programs. That's what he does day in, day out, and he trains thousands of people on how to do sales. I would just connect him with Ryan. Now, the cool thing is, by me doing that, I'm ultimately invoking the law of reciprocity here. And Ryan, at some point in time, may or may not, but he already has, just using Ryan as an example, is going to figure out how he can help me because I've helped him, so therefore he wants to help me. Now, the crazy thing is I am not connecting people because I ultimately want to take for them. I'm not thinking about this and saying, well, I want to point them to Ryan because if they work with Ryan, then Ryan has a big group of people and then maybe he'll promote me to them. Like that does never, ever, ever, ever cross my mind. Like my intent, my heart is like, let me just connect people and help them have and find those win-win situations because I just know like it will always come back to me. Whether this person ever refers me business or not, it doesn't matter. Somehow, I promise you, it always, always, always comes up. You may just have some random person that say, hey, I've been seeing you on Twitter for a long time. I want to hire you. And you're like, well, where'd you come from? I just have to work with you. Right? Like that's how the universe works. So I just kind of want to hone that in or kind of hammer that in for people so they understand, just show up and serve people and focus on building relationships, and your business really will thrive if you'll ask for the business when it's appropriate to ask for it.
I mean, it's no different than like I'm doing this podcasting, and my podcast is for entrepreneur, and I'm bringing the guests like you, which are so in line, similar to your like whatever you're doing in your profile on Twitter and anywhere else. The same way in my business, I'm trying to surround myself with all the industry experts. Hey, I know, I think I know what my entrepreneur listeners and viewers want. That's why I'm trying to align you guys around here. And in few months, I will have better feedback or a lot more feedback from my listeners and viewers. And then I'll tweak like maybe my guest profile, and I will start bringing more focused guests, you know.
Absolutely.
So that doesn't mean whatever my in next 6 months, whatever I learned from my listeners and viewers, whatever they are looking for, I cannot be pretending to be just, hey, I got everything for you. It's not like I got a warehouse of all the services and I start delivering. I'm still trying to create a platform where all the coaches and all the prospective clients can find each other, they can help each other.
Awesome. I love it.
And
I love it.
Eventually there will be some of the services I can provide better than anybody around.
Of course. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's nice. Okay, enough of Twitter and online marketing. Like I was listening one of your other interviews somewhere actually this morning. You are a passionpreneur.
Yep.
So what's passionpreneur?
So I ran a program called the Passionpreneur Academy for many years. And I haven't been running the Passionpreneur Academy for a while now. But essentially at that time, the passionpreneur is an entrepreneur who's willing to monetize their passion. Because there's never been a greater time in the history of humanity than now. And everybody's probably said that ever. Like, I'm just thinking back in probably 1920, if there was a podcast, there was a radio show. Somebody probably went on a radio show and said, there's never been the better time in history to start a company now, right? But what I'm getting at is like the tools and the technology, the barriers of entry are so low cost. Like if somebody is willing to educate themselves on what they need to do in the areas of marketing and sales, and they're willing to then put themselves out on the line, all of the tools are readily available to them, right? I mean, if we back up to the 1980s, even the early 90s, many of the tools were only, here in America anyway, like only Fortune 500 companies had budgets to afford. In fact, I was doing an interview for the Future Media Association just last night, and we had this conversation on data and analyzing data. And now anybody, whether you have a business you're a solopreneur by yourself, or whether you have a team of 4 people, whether you have a team of 400,000 people, like everybody has the same opportunities and the same tools. So it's just about us having education and taking consistent, massive action for people to monetize whatever it is that they're interested in monetizing.
I'm sorry, but I must ask something, okay? Like, what is passion? How you explain to average person? Like most of the people, they're thinking the person who is not interested in money, just want to have fun, maybe want to be like maybe an actor or comedian or something. That's the only thing people think is passion.
Yeah. So I think passion it's our interest. So a lot of people say, I need to find my passion. And then I need to build my business around my passion. But I don't think there is the passion. We're always evolving as a human species. You as an individual is always evolving, and the thing that lights you up today may not be the thing that lights you up 10 years from now. It may not, and that is okay. I mean, you and I were having a talk prior to us having this interview, and you've bought companies, you've sold companies, you have companies, something you like, something you don't like, something that you're passionate about, something that you're not passionate about, and that is okay. But you're the perfect example of continually to follow your interests. So whatever your heart is like wanting, like it's needing, you're like, man, I want to do this to feel fulfilled, then you go all in to create that, to have that experience for as long as your heart wants to have that experience. And then once it's telling you, I would like to do this now, you're like, awesome. You allow that to sell it, you let it fade away, whatever needs to happen, and on you go, so you can continue to evolve in your humanness to become the next best version of yourself. So when somebody says, AJ, what is passion? If we boil it down into simplicity, it's interest. What interests you? And whatever that is, go all in on that. And that does not mean that you need to start a business. It doesn't mean that you need to be an online entrepreneur. It doesn't mean that. It just means, what in the heck do you want to experience? And then how can you go out to get the skill sets to back that up and then take massive action to do that? So for those of those that are listening that are like, oh, I'd like to be an actor. Awesome. Like, go find somebody who's a professional actor right now. Like, you can use Twitter to connect with them. You can use social media, connect with them, befriend them, and then learn what they're doing. Like, reverse engineer what they're doing. If they're living in Los Angeles and they tell you, hey, if you want to be a professional actor, you have to move to Los Angeles, then move to Los Angeles and go all in on that dream. If you just want to have cars and houses and just have material things and you like what you're doing at corporate, fantastic. Stay at corporate and just learn to manage the flow of your money and invest in real estate deals and stocks and grow your wealth from the income that you're generating as a corporation. Doesn't mean that you have to start a business. If you do have the bug to start a business, then do that. So to me, that's kind of my long-winded rant on passion. But I hear so many people that are like, oh, you have to find your passion. I mean, that's what you must do or you're not going to be fulfilled. Come on, that's not the reality.
Okay, so what do you recommend to like people who are like high school and beyond? They are still young. Like a lot of people like go to school or they're doing for degrees and maybe they're looking for a job, but I see them so down, you know?
Yep. So here's my advice to the young people, my friend. My advice to the young people is kind of in alignment with this passion thing, which is, what in the heck do you want to experience in this life? What in the world? Take money out of the equation, right? And I understand that you have to have money. I am not going to say that you do not have to have money. I'm not going to sit here and say, just follow your passion, follow your bliss, and the money will come. No, it won't. Like, you have to educate yourself. But number one, you have to get clear on, what do you want? Number one, like, let all of the conditioning that you've been told from your mother, your father, your grandparents, from school counselors, allow all that to just go away and ask yourself, what do you want, right? What is the thing that interests you? What is the thing that you love reading about? You love watching documentaries on? What is that? And then whatever that is, then go get the skill sets that are going to allow you to then have that in experience, right? So for some people, you know, I grew up with a great friend of mine who just wanted to be a carpenter. He wanted to build cabinets with his hands, right? And in school, they're like, oh no, you have to go to university. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, the guy makes great money now because he chose to follow that, right? Instead of going to university and going into student debt loans, instead he went and got an apprenticeship to learn how to build cabinets, start his own business, right? And then start selling cabinets and makes more money than most college people with college degrees. Does that mean college degrees aren't bad, or are bad? No, it doesn't mean that. It just means there's different paths for different people. So just figure out what it is that you want, then go get the skill set so you have that, and then go out and make the opportunity. And here's my advice also to the young people that are coming out of high school. In the economy today, people do not care about your degree. Now, I can say this very adamantly. I graduated summa cum laude at the top of my class with a 3.92 GPA. from university with a liberal arts degree. Nobody has ever asked me for my diploma ever. In fact, I don't even know where it's at. I don't have it hung up on the wall because it doesn't mean anything to me at all. People always ask me, sir, what results can you produce for me? Right? So my advice also to the young people is whatever it is that you want to do it, get the skill set so you can produce the results, and then go all in on producing results. And as long as you continue to level up your skill sets and continue to expand the results and the level of results you can produce, you will always, always, always be in high demand and be able to make any amount of money that you want to create.
Very inspiring, you know. I was mesmerized. I was lost listening to you. Like maybe you was my coach. If you was my coach when I was a kid, I will be a different person maybe. So I was gone in that time, you know.
Yeah, I appreciate it, dude. I get fired up about the idea of school because I was the guy who was conditioned to believe that you had to go to university. So I always made straight A's. I graduated like salutatorian, which in my book is like the first loser, right? You're second place. You're not number one, so you're number two, right? And so I was high school, moved into college, graduated top of my class. And in my experience, all of that has been a complete waste of my time. And I wish if I could go back and do it again, I would have just got clear on what I wanted to do. I probably would have gone to a tech school to back the skill sets up, and then went directly into working for a company that allowed me to level up and learn. In fact, that's how I learned my graphic design. It's how I learned marketing and public relations. Is I just started as assistant for a lady that owned the advertising agency. And as a result, I had to learn on the job. And since I was hungry, I learned at a super rapid pace, right? Ultimately allowing me to be able to be a contractor by the age that I was like 22 and doing public relations myself for huge authors and so forth, just because I had on-the-job training that I could ultimately take to the marketplace and charge.
Good for you. I could see the excitement and how fired up you are talking about all those things. That's what the passion is.
Exactly.
If people cannot figure out what's your passion, ask your family and friends who are around you all the time, and they will see, well, when you're talking about this, you're so fired up, your energy, your tone of voice, and your level of emotion changes. That's your passion, and that's what you'll be doing rest of life. At least I'm happy for you. At least you have successfully pursued your passion and converted that into a career. Good for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, but we are close to the end of the show, and I would like to ask you if you still have a last minute advice for all my entrepreneurs.
Sure. My last minute, or I guess last words before I die, right? My last words, man, is take consistent, imperfect action. So many times we listen to these podcasts, we buy courses, we listen to webinars, we read books, and we think we just need more and 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 more. And ultimately, when I get to this place of perfection, then and only then will I take action. My experience, and a lot of my friends who have very successful offline businesses and online businesses, they've just become very, very good at taking imperfect action as quick and as soon as possible as they could, and allowing themselves to level up as they go, right? So that would be my last piece of advice, guys, is just take the Twitter stuff that you've learned today. If you're wanting to build an audience on Twitter, like I dropped the exact 3-step formula, and if you will implement it, I promise you will see results in the next 48 hours. Like you will start building a quality audience within 24 to 48 hours by just doing what I shared here today. So don't think that you need something, you need to be perfect. Like just take imperfect action consistently. And if you do that, it will always trump those who are waiting to be perfectionists.
I love that. I also believe in imperfect actions. Yeah, it's no different than 80-20 rule. If somebody just go and in next 5 minutes like try to tweak their Twitter profile or any other profile in their life actually, or anything in their life actually, not even just the online marketing, like the 20% efforts may bring 80% of the result. So why you want to wait for the day you want 100% right and 100% results? That day may never come.
Yeah.
Exactly. Maybe the CEO of Twitter doesn't have the perfect profile.
Right.
I'm sorry. I hope he's not watching me, okay?
I hope he does. I hope he does.
Yeah,
he needs to.
So, okay, my friend, I thank you for being my guest on my show.
You're most welcome.
And I'm sure my listeners and viewers will be requesting me to bring you back again. You know,
Awesome.
and I'll request you again. I'll chase you on Twitter now.
All right, sounds good, man.
So, thank you, my friend. Have a nice day.
You're most welcome. Thanks for having me, brother.
Bye.
Do not throw that old phone away. Your trash may be hidden gold. We want your old device and will pay top dollar for it. Our process is as easy as 1, 2, 3. We offer no obligation sales. If you have a problem with the price that we gave you, we will return the device to you at no charge. Fast payment, free shipping, free data wipe, risk-free transaction. Buybackqueen.com.